If you're watching this video, you likely understand how important messaging, copy, and the way you speak is when it comes to content, sales funnels, emails, ads, and almost everything. Look, there's a reason why I can give 10 people the same ad tactic, the same strategy, the same funnel, but they will all get different results. One of the reasons why is because the way they communicate inside of that structure of the funnel or the ads or the sales process is completely different. One person can create more demand than the other person. Even though the ad gets shown, the remarketing gets shown, the same things get shown, how they're showing it and how they're talking about it differs. And that is the difference between someone who's successful and someone who's not. And what I want to do is break down over on the board in the next room exactly how you can avoid the #1 mistake most unheard entrepreneurs are making right now without even realizing it. So let's head on over to the board and I'll break it down for you. Okay, so the biggest mistake that most people make is, and this whole thing will make sense in a minute here, but they make a statement and then they just assume the audience believes what they believe. And so what most unheard entrepreneurs do, so the unheard entrepreneur will usually fall into this category right here. They tend to make a statement that they believe in or a statement they stand for or something that they think is true, which is great. You should be doing that in your content. But then they just move on and they keep going on with the video and then they make another statement and then they move on again and then they make another statement and they move on. The problem with this is that if your audience isn't believing the statement or already agrees with the statement, subconsciously they're not continuing to follow you. And if you do this process over and over and over again, you obviously are the unheard entrepreneur. But what tends to happen is no one follows your content, no one buys your stuff, no one listens to what you're saying, because you have to make all these assumptions that they believe this statement and this statement and this statement and this statement. And what's happening is you're not really shifting perspectives. You're only attracting people that already believe the same thing that you are. But if you want to be a thought leader, you need to focus on shifting that perspective and not assuming that they believe the statement, but get them to enroll into what you stand for. And that's what this process over here is. So instead of just staying the statement and moving on, what we want to do inside of our content, inside of our messaging, inside of our sales videos, sales pages, ads everywhere, is we want to make the statement that we want to stand for, but then we need to prove and discredit it. I'll give you guys an example. I had a client who was working on a video series and they said something along the lines of, a launch is not a business. Then they moved on to the next statement, an Instagram following is not a business. And so they were doing the statement, move on, statement, move on. The problem with this is that if someone didn't already believe that a launch wasn't a business or an Instagram following wasn't a business, they wouldn't be following anymore. They would either tune out, or if they kept watching on a subconscious level, they're tuned out. So what we could do instead would say something like, a launch is not a business because it lacks the one thing every successful business has: reliable, scalable, and reoccurring income. And then I would go even farther and I would say, can you find me any business in the Fortune 500 that doesn't know how much money they're going to make next month and where their sales are coming from? Probably not. Why? Because you can't run a scalable, profitable, and consistent business off of launches. So now instead of just saying a launch is not a business and moving on, I now proved that my statement was true by discrediting the old belief. And then now at that point, we can move on. Then I can move into an Instagram following is not a business. And I could just say something as simple as, that's why there's influencers with 1 million followers, but they can't pay their rent. In fact, CNN.com just did a study saying that most influencers aren't even making over $20,000 a month. And that's just a stat I made up, but I'm just showing you, you want to make the statement, you want to prove it, discredit it, and move on. So that begs the question, well, how do we do this? Well, this is so important, which is why it's pillar number 2 in the Video 4X effect, impactful messaging. And we dive deeper into it in the program, but one of the easiest ways to do this is to learn slide of mouth patterns. It's something I learned from my mentor, Jim Thornton. But if you want to learn more about slide of mouth patterns, how to actually prove, discredit, move on, and create persuasive content, then click the link around this video, get our absolutely free training, and I'll see you there.